had registered everybody. We went out into the fields, we organized, we talked to people, and we got them to register to vote. Now that was a big thing for us.
Amen.
Because people were afraid. They were scared. We was all sharecroppers. We was all poor. And we all depended on the white man for our food. I mean, if you went to register to vote, you didn't know whether you was going to get back home or not. That's the truth. But that day, they asked me to step forth as a representative and as a delegate of the Freedom Democratic Party to speak to the Credentials Committee. Let me sit down. Mr. Chairman, and to the Credentials Committee, my name is Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer. I live at 626 East Lafayette Street, Ruleville, Mississippi, Sunflower County, the home of Senator James O. Eastland and Senator Stennis. On August 31st, 1962, 18 of us traveled 26 miles to the county courthouse in Indianola in order to register to become first-class citizens. We was met there by the city police and the highway patrol, and they only let 2 of us in at a time to take the literacy test. Now, once we had taken this test and was on our way back to Ruleville, the city police and the state highway patrol stopped the bus and turned us around and sent us back to Indianola. They charged the bus driver that day with driving a bus of the wrong color. Well, after we raised the fine among us, we continued on back to Ruleville. I was met by Reverend Jeff Sonny, who carried me 4 miles back to the rural area where I had worked as a timekeeper and a sharecropper for 18 years. I was met there by my children, who told me, you know, the plantation owner is mad because you went down to try to register to vote. Well, my husband came, and he said the plantation owner is raising Cain because you went down to register to vote. And before he could finish, the plantation owner came. He said, Fannie Lou, do you know, did Pat tell you what I said? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, I mean that. If you don't go down and withdraw your registration, you're going to have to leave. Say, even if you go down and withdraw your registration, you still going to have to leave. Because we are not ready for that here in Mississippi. I addressed him, and I told him, I didn't go down to register for you. I went down to register for myself. We had to leave that same night. On September 10th, 1962, 16 bullets were fired into the home of Mr. and Mrs. Robert Tucker for me. 2 girls were shot in Ruleville, and the home of Mr. Joe McDonald was also shot in. And on June 9th, 1963, I had attended a workshop on voter registration and was returning to Mississippi. There were 10 of us traveling on the Trailways Continental bus. When we got to Winona, Mississippi, which is Montgomery County, 4 people got off the bus to go to the restaurant, and 2 got off the bus to go to the washroom. Now, I was still sitting on the bus, but when I looked around, I saw the 4 coming back to the bus. So I got off the bus to see what was happening. And a young woman told me that the county sheriff and the highway patrol had ordered them out of the restaurant. I got back on the bus, and one of the people who had gone to the restroom also got back on the bus. As soon as I was seated, I saw that there were 5 workers being put into a state highway patrolman's car. So I got off the bus to see what was happening. And from somewhere in that car, somebody yelled and said, "Get that one there!" Well, I got into the car, and as I was getting into the car after the man told me that I was under arrest, he kicked me. Well, they took me to the county jail, to the booking room of the county jail. Now, they had some people in the booking room, they had some people in cells. And after they took me to the booking room, they took me to a cell where there was a young woman there called Miss Yvesta Simpson. After a while, I began to hear licks and screams. And I could hear somebody say, "Can you say yes, sir, nigga? Can you say yes, sir?" And I heard a voice say, "Yes, I can say yes, sir." "Well, say it then." She said, "I don't know you well enough." They beat her, I don't know how long. And after a while, she began to pray and ask God to forgive those people. A little later on, 3 white men came to my cell. One of these men was a state highway patrolman, and he asked me where I was from. And I told him Ruleville. And he said, "We're going to check that." Well, they came back, and he said, "You from Ruleville, all right. We gonna make you wish you was dead." Well, they took me from one cell and moved me into another cell with 2 Negro prisoners. And the state highway patrolman told the first Negro prisoner to pick up the blackjack. The first Negro prisoner picked up the blackjack and told me to lay down on the bunk bed, face down. I laid down on my face, and the first Negro prisoner began to beat me and beat me. He beat me until he was exhausted. And the state highway patrolman told the second Negro prisoner to take the blackjack. And he started to beat me. Now, I had held my hands behind my back on my left side because I had polio when I was 6 years old. Oh. As they continued to beat me, and I tried to protect my left side, I started working my feet. And the state police said to the first Negro, "Sit on her feet. so she can't work her feet. And he sat on my feet, and the second Negro continued to beat and to beat. And I started to scream. And some white man started to beat me in my head and told me to hush. And during this, my dress had worked up. And I tried to pull my dress down, and the white man pulled it back up. I was in jail the night Medgar Evers was murdered. All of this on account of we want to be first-class citizens. If the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party is not seated now, I question America, the home of the free and the land of the brave, where we have to sleep with our telephones off the hook because somebody is calling to threaten our lives, all because we want to be first-class citizens.